Are you as sick of electioneering as the good burgers of Griffith are?
Oh, I'm having a great time, actually. It's so nice to talk to so many different people and go to so many events. It's actually really good to get in touch with all of the issues that people are facing here.
Yeah, actually, I must say that I'm looking forward to tomorrow. I think the people of Griffith are looking forward to tomorrow, to the end of it. I think they're sick of politics, sick of politicians, and certainly sick of elections. So I say to the people of Griffith, I apologise, but it will be over by tomorrow night.
By tomorrow night, exactly. Now, this, you know, forget the voters and the polls and all sorts of things. Let's go to the bookies. Now, Bill, you've come in from $8 to $4.25, but Terry is still the clear-cut favourite. You expecting a late plunge? Do you think?
Well, I think I always say this is Terry's election to lose, mine to win, because obviously given the by-election situation. And looking at the history, I think it was 1920 when the by-election was last won by an incumbent Labor or Liberal government, LNP government. So, we've got the job ahead of us. But having said that, we've worked hard. We've been doing this for 14 months, and I keep saying to people at Griffith, tomorrow it's a matter of choosing, either myself or Terry, because either one of we are going to be your next member for Griffith. And I'm trying to focus on the local issues and focus on, I suppose, my background as a person in terms of living in Griffith, bringing up a family, run a business, working at both sides of politics, and hopefully be able to be a strong advocate in terms of the current government. I keep saying Tony Abbott will still be the Prime Minister on Sunday and Bill Shorten will still be the Labor leader. But the reality is...
You sound almost defeated.
No.
With the greatest of
definitely not. Definitely not. I've had tough situations like this before and come out in front. So I'm certainly not defeated, but realise I've got a tough job ahead of me.
Well, I don't like paying attention to the odds myself. I mean,
so you're not going to have a little flutter on yourself?
Oh no, I don't think so. But look, bookies I think are all right when it comes to general elections. But for individual seats, every seat is different and every seat is unique. This seat is not about the odds. It's not about the history. It's not about any of those things. It's about who people want to represent them. Now, I've been saying
to be honest, it's 1920 since a by-election went against the sitting government. So the odds are in your favour.
Well, as someone said to me, maybe that means it's time for a change. And look, you can never take that. You can never take anything for granted, particularly not history, because as I say, this seat is very, very different to every other seat. This is a unique set of circumstances. And for me, I'm not hearing much from people about the history or the odds. I'm hearing about the issues that are affecting them around the kitchen table. I mean, I know what it's like. I've got 2 little kids. My husband and I both work full-time. We balance the full-time work, the kids, the caring, plus you've got a mortgage, you've got the pressures of raising a family. That's what's actually important to people. How do you get services? Is there going to be cuts? What's happening with healthcare? What's happening with education? What's happening with childcare? And those are the things that people are talking to me about. They're not talking about what the bookies reckon is going to happen tomorrow.
We'll come to some specific issues now, since you bring it up. Bill, a local GP, came up just before the show and said he's against the $6 co-payment that is being proposed for GP visits. And he was quite cranky about it.
Can I say to that GP and to the people of Griffith that the LNP have no plans to introduce a co-payment on bulk billing. That idea came out of a think tank in Melbourne. It's gone through to the Audit Commission, and they'll make some recommendations then to the government. Now, whether that's included or not, I don't know. But can I say, historically, obviously as the previous AMA president, I was the one that really sat down with the government at the time, which is in fact Tony Abbott was the then health minister, and worked very hard to try and increase the rates of bulk billing. And we did that by increasing the Medicare rebate from 85% to 100%. We put an extra $5 in the bucket in terms of every time a GP bulk billed a patient, take an extra $5. We also put the safety net in place. So historically, I think I've got a pretty strong track record in supporting bulk billing. And, of course, bulk billing looks after our most poorest and sickest, and particularly our children and our elderly as well.
But the $6 co-payment has obviously got some traction. If people are still talking about it...
It has. It certainly has got traction, don't get me wrong, but it's come out of a furphy. That's really, the government has not talked about it. The government is not... It's not on the government agenda. And so, as I said, I just want to make it very clear from my position and very clear from the government's position, it's off the agenda.
Well, I hate to disagree with you, Bill, but I'm going to. Look, as we all know, this GP tax proposal came to a very senior former advisor to Tony Abbott. It's something that the Abbott government has been using this weasel word language of "we have no plans" about. Now, "we have no plans" means they've admitted it's before the Commission of Audit. They've conveniently pushed back the Commission of Audit so that we won't know before the by-election what its recommendations are and what cuts to expect in that Commission of Audit. There's been a refusal to say we will not introduce it. There's been no categorical ruling out of the GP tax proposal.
Bill just did it then.
No, he said he's got no plans. This is weasel words. This is just like we're on a unity ticket on Gonski. That is this sort of misleading language. And Bill, I know you're just saying what the Abbott government is saying and using that same language. And this is not necessarily about you, but this is the sort of tricky, deceptive language that people don't like and that leads to the real scepticism in our community about politics, because we all know that in reality, as Joe Hockey has said, this proposal is before the Commission of Audit, and that the Commission of Audit is not going to be telling us what cuts it's recommending and what other changes it's recommending until after the by-election.
Okay, can I ask you, Terry, unions, how does allegations of corruption, certainly in Victoria and New South Wales, as a prospective Labor MP, how does that sit with you?
Oh, well, I'm horrified, of course. The last thing a prospective Labor MP or anyone in the community wants to hear about is any allegations of criminal activity, and that's why I've come out very strongly and said they should be immediately referred to the police. The people with the knowledge, the expertise and the authority to investigate criminal behaviour. We're talking about some allegations about building industry participants, that's companies and unions, engaging in criminal
primarily
conduct.
Unions,
no, it's not primarily unions.
Well, it is
it's actually not,
unions.
because if you're talking about the allegations of bribes, it's not as though a union official is going to bribe himself. We're talking about companies offering bribes to people. And if that sort of thing is going on, I don't know if it is, but if it is, then that is horrific, and the police should be allowed to investigate it. We also have, I happen to know this being an employment lawyer, a Fair Work Building Construction Commission that's been around the whole time. It also has ample authority, power and expertise to investigate building industry participants.
Let me ask
I'd like to see that happen.
Let me ask you, have you had any union, do you have a union background yourself? I know you're a lawyer.
Yeah, look, I act for a lot of unions, and it's something I'm proud to do. Unions are organisations that help working people to improve their lifestyles. And I've got to tell you, I know that you guys brought Julie Bishop up to have a go at me about my union background, but I'll tell you what, as I said at the time, I'd rather look after unions who are organisations that help working people than be out there defending companies that harm working people, be out there defending companies against asbestos claims. I mean, I said the other night at the forum, I've seen a member of my family die from asbestos-related disease, and it is the worst thing I've ever seen in my life. And I find it just horrible that we have this sort of situation where someone who's defended companies against those sorts of claims thinks that her record as a lawyer, is better than mine.
We'll give Bill the right to reply there.
Oh, look, we need unions. We need responsible unions, but they have to be absolutely squeaky clean, like any other structure within our society. And there's been a lot of allegations made around various unions, and I don't think it applies necessarily to all unions. But if those allegations have to be met in terms of addressing the concerns, so that that the workers' funds. And the unions are obviously supposed to be looking after those and utilising those in the right way. They feel confident those funds are being used appropriately and not being being abused in some way in terms of Mr. Thompson and others out there who've obviously abused their position. So, I just think we need to clean it up and make sure that unions remain responsible and accountable to their members and to the society in general.
But Bill, that's why Labor introduced the strongest accountability and transparency regulations for unions, employer unions and employee unions in Australia's history.
But Terry, what worries me, I talk to my builders, out there, my construction people, and a lot of those people are hurting. They're hurting badly. And I hear about bullying and sort of stand-over tactics, etc., etc. Listen, the union's got to realise that we're trying to look after the worker as well as look after the employee. I shouldn't use the worker, employee as well as look after the employer. And so it's the balance between the two. I'm all for supporting the employee to make sure that they aren't being mistreated or whatever by some employer. But similarly the same way the other direction, because we need these businesses to stay viable. We need to continue to employ. And I just think there's been we've got to a stage now that a lot of these businesses are struggling to be competitive overseas because of the rules and regulations and sort of standover tactics that a lot of these unions impose upon our construction industry.
Well, that sounds like a bunch of generalisations, Bill, to be honest. I mean, when you say
hang on a second,
tactics,
a politician makes broad generalisation statements backed up by dodgy statistics. Shock.
But to be fair, I think there should be balance as well. And the thing about being a union lawyer, I've been a union lawyer, I've been an employment lawyer, I've looked after individual nurses.
Just out of interest, which unions have you represented?
A whole lot of them, actually.
A whole lot of them?
Not every union, but a large number, and I'm proud of it, as I say. But I also represent individual workers. I've represented individual doctors, nurses, firefighters, people who are just trying to get through. They don't want to be bullied at work, and that's why I've been so proud of that. But the work I do for unions also is about how to be compliant with transparency laws, how to be compliant, and that's what I'm really proud of. I like working with people to build compliance, to build transparency, and to build accountability, because it's actually all about working people at the end of the day.
Okay. We've got it. We're hard up against it. What do you? I'm going to ask you both quickly. What do you think the margin will be after Saturday?
I'll let you go first. Let you go first.
Yes, Bill, very happy to let you
Are we
go
at some
first.
sort of rugby league game? Is there going to be some doubles or something? I'm not buying any tickets.
So you're not prepared to?
It's going to be very close.
And Terry's right.
It'll come down to green preferences.
At the general election, I had a feeling that I was creeping up on Kevin Rudd, and I knew I was going to go close to him. And I think a week out, I thought we had him, and then we slipped back in that last week. But I must say, this by-election, I've got no feeling at all, Patrick.
You should see a doctor.
I need to see a doctor. Exactly. That's exactly where I'm going to end up. But I would hate to slip backwards, and I'd love to hold our vote from last time, and I'd love to increase it. But given that we've got a really tough job in this in terms of this being a by-election, so the answer to that I don't actually know. I'll just wait and see what the people say on Saturday night.
Well, look, best of luck to both of you, and thank you both very much for coming into the mobile studio, the caravan, the 4BC caravan today.